at that time.
You know the best place in the world to hear Forrest Gump lines?
The bathroom?
Alabama.
Georgia, actually. It's pretty fucking funny.
They're going to say the bathroom because you can harmonize in there.
And welcome to the Desynced
comment.
podcast.
There we go.
No comment.
Wrapping up the conferences anyway from E3 2016. We had our final one. Well, I guess not really our final one.
It was a kind of conference, kind of showcase.
It was the first part of it.
They've still been showing off stuff even to right now.
Yeah.
They've been showing off stuff all day.
But we've got Nintendo
What coverage
had
they did
its
give us.
Treehouse event. And then they've actually got another Treehouse event tomorrow covering more of their Nintendo stuff. But today was focused on two games, Pokemon and Zelda.
Yes, the two that we all wanted to see.
Maybe this is me being a hopeful. I kind of wanted to see something Mario related at this.
It would have been nice, but they said ahead of time that they were really only going to focus on Zelda. And I think the main reason why they're including Pokemon is because that comes out in just a few months.
November.
Yeah.
And it is their 20th anniversary, so
Right.
that might have something to do with it.
Well, remember, we do have that day tomorrow. They're going to do another Treehouse event, and that's supposed to be where they show other stuff, some of their other titles. Because they have a bunch of titles coming, actually.
Star Fox and...
Star Fox is out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it came
Where
out.
the hell have I been?
Came out in
It didn't
May?
get rave reviews.
Yeah, it's not great.
That's sad.
But they got the new...
That's the story of Nintendo right now. Except for today. Today was pretty good.
Actually, as someone who does not like Nintendo, I quite enjoyed what they showed.
I wanted more, but I guess we'll start with my half of it at least. I wanted more Pokemon.
Oh, before we get into it, I do want to say real quick, we don't have any video for this. We don't have any trailers or gameplay or anything for this podcast because of Nintendo's rules. We just don't want to push
We
our
don't want
luck
to
with
step on
that.
any feet.
We probably could get away with it, but just in case...
Yeah, we're playing it safe with this one. So, sorry, no footage, but you get to hear us talk. It'll be like a normal podcast.
Right, and we'll include a link to the actual conference itself, because I
Click
believe
here.
that's up.
Click right here.
Yeah, we'll provide links to all the Nintendo stuff, so you can go check it out yourself.
Click right there.
Steve's pointing.
Also, you're pointing at the ground.
Click right there.
Well, now I
I'll
know
be
where
right
to put the
back.
link.
I'm
Thanks.
going to go click.
Put it to the bottom. But Pokemon. I kind of wanted to see more. I was hoping for evolutions of the starters. I was hoping for just more than just a little bit of a battle scene. The starters again. You meet a couple of the characters.
It would have been nice. I feel almost like this might have been something that they included very recently. They made the decision after the negative reaction to people saying that they wanted more than just Zelda. It wasn't a exceptionally long demo, or like he said, it didn't show a great amount. But at the same time, it did show off some really interesting things for the franchise as a whole, I thought.
It actually was a pretty long demo, but you're right, they didn't show very much.
No,
I mean,
it
they showed
was-
how the basic moment-to-moment gameplay will look, but
It looked like it was the first route.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it was, right? You just got your starter, you started your adventure, but even then, they just kind of walked around for a little bit. When the battle scene came up, they just sat there, bounced around in the menus.
They did do a very weird thing, and they did this all throughout the conference, which I get why they did. I just don't like it. The entire thing was presented as an interview with the developers, which normally that's fine. The only problem is because there is a language barrier between the Western audience and Game Freak, which is a Eastern Japanese company. They had translators for the entire thing, so pretty much every single thing that was said twice.
yeah, it really stretched the length of this, and that's probably why the gameplay was so boring, because it's not like they could move on to something else until
they
got
got an
this through.
explanation and
Right,
asked
they had
their
to
questions.
sit there and wait for a response.
But even then, some of the people at Game Freak, they do speak English.
That's
Oh, of
true.
course.
There was one of the guys there who actually did, and we were kind of surprised when he did because he'd been silent for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the guy actually doing the gameplay for Pokemon. The guy who got his ass kicked in that one fight, which was funny.
Yeah, he lost to a little woodpecker.
But yeah, they did show off several new Pokemon. They showed off that woodpecker. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
I wrote
Yungoos.
it down. Pikapek, I want to say is how you pronounce that.
Something
Oh.
like that.
No,
Hold on.
the young goose is the
Yes,
mongoose.
and then the young goose, which kind of looks like it's
Oh, here we
supposed to
go.
be the new Ratata.
Yeah, Pick-a-Peck, which is a flying normal type. It's a little woodpecker. Young Goose, which is our new mongoose. Loitering Pokemon.
Yeah, it had a very angry face.
Yeah, he's very pissed off.
He was unhappy with life, but I thought he was
Um,
adorable.
I just want to know, will he evolve into an old goose?
Don't know.
Yeah.
You and your puns. They did show off another little guy, or they announced a new little guy. I don't know if he was in the trailer or not.
We didn't see him in the gameplay.
Grubbin. He's a little itty bitty bug guy.
Looks like a bread bug.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's a little itty bitty 2-horned bug. I'm looking at all this on Cerebi.net. Great website. They showed off a little bit more information on the starters, or I'm sorry, on the legendaries, and they also announced putting more information on the other legendary, the Fairy Steel type. Somebody's gonna have to correct me. Maganara.
I have no
Oh
clue.
jeez.
Maganara.
Shall we all take an attempt?
Magirna?
Here.
Magirna? That sounds a little bit more.
Well, because her head's a gear. I guess it's Magirna.
Magirna? That sounds pretty good.
I think you're right, Fred, but just so that we all have something unique, I'm going to call her Magirna.
Magirna?
Magirna.
Magina.
That actually sounds best, but
Magirna, I think is what we're gonna go.
Magirna sounds horrible if that's
I think
actually.
she's French.
Yeah, Magirna. Magirna.
Well, Magirna would make sense. Magine.
So,
Magine, maybe. I don't know.
Magine. I don't know.
We have no clue.
I'll find out when I go buy the movie.
I'm sure
But
everyone already knows.
They showed off her. They just showed off one of her new exclusive moves, the Fleur Cannon or whatever.
We didn't actually see that during
Yeah,
the Treehouse.
Fleur
That
Cannon.
must have
Wow,
been
I actually
later.
got that one right. Fleur Cannon.
Something I liked, and this is just a minor thing that I noticed. One of the legendaries, the Moon Legendary, whatever that one is.
The Fruit Bat.
Yeah,
We were laughing at
that
this, I know
one's
exactly.
like special attack. In its name, it was a shield, and yet it fired this big ass laser down.
Yeah,
at
it was
people.
like
What the hell?
shield. It was something like lunar shield, and then it just fires a giant laser.
Just
We're
a
like,
giant laser.
that's not a shield.
Yeah, they don't have his
really
they don't
weird.
have his attacks listed right now.
That's as far as my Pokemon knowledge.
I
goes,
will
so.
say there was some interesting stuff I saw just from a technical standpoint. I know with X and Y and the recent Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it had a few frame rate issues in the gameplay. Like when you got into the battles, frames would tend to drop when animations occurred. Granted, we didn't see anything too flashy here, but it looked fairly stable. It was a stage demo, so there is that to take into account.
Stable-ish.
I didn't see any frame loss. Maybe I just didn't notice it.
Ish.
But,
you saw some.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't see. I wasn't completely paying attention, but I didn't see any. And I do remember X and Y really shitting the bed in some places.
It is definitely a step up. I mean, they've also made the characters, instead of being like the little squatty, big-headed sprites, like they were in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and even X and Y, they're now actual lengthier, more human-like.
Well, I think they were saying they're supposed to be at least somewhat proportional.
Yes.
To each other.
They've also thrown in trainers in the battles.
yes, that was actually something that I thought was really kind of cool because that's never really been done in a game except for Coliseum.
We don't count Coliseum. It's the redheaded stepchild bastard.
Coliseum is a main series game.
Coliseum is the redheaded stepchild bastard child. Okay, we're not counting that one.
This is a conversation for another podcast. I will tell you
There
why
will
you're
not be
wrong
another
later.
podcast because this conversation ends. But I don't know. Overall, I wanted more.
Well,
With
we got
the-
to see a lot of gameplay mechanic
We're
changes.
we're 5 months away from launch. Normally, by this point in time, they should have more.
Yeah, but Nintendo is notorious for skipping E3 in terms of big news. They'll show the games that they need to show, and then they usually do their own thing. some
Also,
other point.
I think at this point we have most of the information we'd have at this point. I mean, with X and Y, they showed off the map a little bit sooner, but we got the map today.
We got the, but we
We
had
didn't
more.
get a full list.
We had more of a list. We had a lot more Pokemon for X and Y. By
That's
this point.
fair. I did feel though that we got to see a lot of the mechanical changes, or not mechanical, but just the game mechanics.
Yeah.
With the battle system, there's now a whole menu you can open up to show what's happened and track things better instead of having to remember.
There's
Like
a type
status effects,
yeah,
right?
there's a type explanation now.
The one thing I noticed, they specifically said only if you fought that particular Pokemon before. So I guess there's still that element of discovery.
There's probably the whole if you fought it and then caught it.
Well, they said that if you fought it before, then even if you fight it against with a trainer, then you'll still get that information.
Okay.
You'll learn what's super effective and not. Which
Sure,
for
sure.
someone like me who's not super big into Pokemon, that would be a good addition. Because I'm not gonna remember all 400 fucking types they have now. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I don't know
can't-
I don't know what's good against Fairy, what Fairy beats. I don't know. All I know is that Dragon is ineffective against Fairy, and Fairy knocks the shit out of Dragon.
Yeah.
That's all I really remember.
Well,
mean,
isn't that the gist of it though? I mean.
There's a bit more behind it to balance it out, I think. But
Oh, okay.
I mean, it is a good thing in the sense that it allows people to more easily access that more complex strategy. I was really hoping to see if they talk about like difficulties. I know that's a big thing people always want is a harder version of the game where you have to use more strategy instead of just use this move to win 5,000 times in a row.
I have no idea.
No.
I can't say anything. I
I
was
don't-
hoping Steve would respond.
I wanted more. That's all. I kind of want to leave it on as I'm let down. I wanted more.
Well, what about the Battle Royale type thing?
Okay, so they misspelled it.
We all know that it's actually Battle Royale.
I wonder if it's a typo or.
I'm calling typo on that one. Because Battle Royal.
Well, they even said Royale when they announced it.
Yeah.
So
it's
it
I'm
makes me
calling
think
typo
it's-
on that one.
But I
Nintendo
mean-
dropped the ball.
That was kind of a cool thing they showed. It's a four-way battle. It's a new type of battle system, and it actually has unique mechanics other than just last man standing wins. It's all based on a score you accumulate from the looks of things.
All right, I got a question about this whole Nintendo conference thing before we move forward a little bit. Do you think with the passing of the last president of Nintendo and this new guy taking over, that's why we're not seeing more of a traditional conference with
No.
Nintendo?
They
They've
were
been
already
moving.
moving in that direction.
Yeah, they've been pushing. They haven't done a They haven't done an actual press conference at E3 for a few years now.
What did they do last year?
They just had the Nintendo Directs.
Which is
yeah.
kind of like what this is.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Okay.
At least this one we didn't have the Muppets like last year.
I don't know. I like
Yeah,
the Muppets.
that was
The Muppets
stupid.
were a little creepy.
Yeah. I'm still very curious. We're still not a year out from, what was it, Miyamoto? No,
Iwata.
Iwata. We're still not even a year out from him passing away, and the new guy's maybe only been in power, I'll give it 6 to 8 months.
I'm sure it's shook up the structure at Nintendo. It's hard to say how much because they're not public about a lot of their stuff.
They're not public over here.
They're not public anywhere.
Really?
They're super secretive.
I'm curious to know what is really going on at Nintendo, because I have not seen or heard 2 words from him since he's been in that chair.
Well, I don't know.
Iwata we heard shit tons from all the time.
He also, though, was very big on bringing things to the West. This new, what's the name of the new person again? I forget.
I don't know.
We don't. I don't know. We'll look it up later. We'll
but,
put it in the description.
He might not be as big into Western subculture as Iwata was. I know that for the most part, Reggie is the one who handles all of Nintendo America.
Well, that's because he is president of Nintendo America.
Right, but I mean, he handles all of it. Like, he doesn't really get much. There's not much influence from Nintendo Japan like there used to be.
I don't know. I can't speak to how they do it. I don't follow Nintendo enough. I shouldn't be here. Where's someone else? Can I get a swap out? I mean,
you watched what came after Pokemon, right? You liked that.
I did. I really liked what they showed off. Are we moving? Are we done with Pokemon?
Yeah,
I don't
mean,
want to move on unless
My final thoughts is, I liked that we saw what we saw, but I wanted more. I'm disappointed that we didn't get more.
I was interested in the new mechanics. It was kind of like a tech demo, I felt. But at least, well, I guess more of a...
Okay. Before we go to Zelda, I'm not even gonna try and butcher that shit.
Oh gosh, are we having another...
Yeah, we're doing another one of those.
Okay.
it's Tatsumi Kimishima.
That sounds
Kimishima,
right.
that's what it is.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, him. I would like to see him more. I want to know what. We never wondered what was on Iwata's mind. So
We always wondered what was on his mind.
I mean, did you see
we never
the games
wondered.
that
We
they
just
made?
needed to understand and get a translator.
Steve, did you see the games they made? You're fighting chestnuts and turtles while eating mushrooms and climbing around pipes.
Oh, round I got that very funny to me.
Oh, so the big thing here, he was no, that's not him. What the hell is this talking about? What the hell have you found?
I don't know.
Anyway. So, yeah, we're going on to Zelda.
Yeah.
Yes. So they did something really weird. At the start of the conference, they showed a Zelda trailer and then immediately jumped to Pokemon before going back. So
Yeah.
let's cover that trailer because they showed some really interesting stuff in the trailer, I felt.
Yeah, it was first off to that format, that is really weird.
That
The
was a-
whole format
that was
that
a
they
lot of
went
weird
with this presentation was just weird. It was so casual that it almost seemed out of place.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Treehouse, not a typical conference, but the interviews, I like what they tried to do. It was very cool getting to see the people who worked on the game talking about it. I love seeing that. It just did draw it out very far having the translators. And I hate to say that because I'm all for seeing that kind of stuff. It just doubled the length of everything.
Yeah, and I think part of that is they needed to fill 45 minutes an hour or something like that
True.
with 2 games.
I feel like they could have with Zelda, though. I mean, there was a lot of stuff they were showing for the very first time.
Well, not until they disabled the demo timer.
That was great. Just halfway through it, kicks him out. Thank you for playing the demo.
And he's like, we were supposed to disable that.
Yeah, and then the next 10 minutes was him trying to catch back up to where he was.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get into
Let's get into it. So, first off, it's very different from past Zelda games just right off the bat with the open world mechanics and how free you are in this world to go anywhere. Literally. Yes, Steve?
What was with the armor pieces? Are you gonna have to put your tunic together?
Well, it looks like
Well, that's one of the things that
options, I think.
yeah,
is
it's
more.
it's you mentioned when we were watching that it was very similar to Dark Souls.
Well, the inventory, just the inventory alone, reminded me of how inventory is handled in Dark Souls.
I mean, it kind of just reminded me of RPG in general, but I've not played a ton of Dark Souls, so maybe it's a lot closer than I know.
Well, and it's not like it's too drastically different from standard RPG, but I don't know. To me, it just it looked Dark Souls-esque, but I like that there's a bunch of variations on just the basic equipment you come to expect.
It's a first on that because before it was you have your clothes, and those are the hero's clothes, and they're your clothes for the entire game. And yeah, you'd get the Zora armor that would let you breathe in water, or maybe the red armor that would make you stronger, but you never got this fully customizable armor sets. And Steve is giving me a really weird look.
I thought red armor made you fireproof.
Depending on the game.
What?
Yeah, depending on the game. For certain Zelda games, the red armor made you do double damage, I want to say. And
What
then
games?
the red armor in for what games? I think Phantom Hourglass. Was it Phantom Hourglass or no? I'm thinking of Link Between Worlds, where you got different armor power.
I always thought blue armor made you breathe in water. Green was your standard.
Normally blue.
Red was fireproof.
Normally blue is the Zora armor, which lets you breathe in water, and red changes from game to game. Like in Twilight Princess, red was called the magical armor, and it was you lost rupees instead of health.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But I mean, they're showing new variations and changing up stuff. But right off the bat with the demo, they did say that they are sticking to some of the classic tropes. It starts with Link waking up from being asleep, which is something that every Zelda game has done. So very glad to see that.
Did he get his fairy?
Not yet.
No,
if
but
there is one.
it started with a narration, which I think is new to Zelda. An actual voice narration, anyway.
They've had. Well, I don't know if they. I don't think they've actually had voice before. Steve, you want to say something?
Why do we not have the fairy?
Well, you haven't had a fairy in every game.
What?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. The Oracle of Ages and Seasons, we didn't have a fairy.
You also didn't in Twilight Princess.
Well, you had Midna was kind of your replacement.
Midna was the replacement.
Kind of, but Wind Waker, you had the King of Red Lions, though you didn't have a fairy. Phantom Hourglass, you did have a fairy. Did you have a fairy in Spirit
You know what? No,
Tracks?
now that I think about it, in Oracle of Ages and Seasons, you did have a fairy.
I don't think you had a fairy in
You,
those.
you
You
had,
didn't have one in Minish Cap, if I remember right.
The only Zelda game I haven't played. Gotta rub that in.
That's one of the handful of Zelda games I've actually beaten. But I thought it was interesting that they started with that narration. Don't know who's talking. I know a lot of people have assumed it's
A
Zelda.
lot of people think it's Zelda.
I don't think so. I think
Maybe.
it's a little too spiritual to be Zelda.
I'd agree, but Zelda has also been a very spiritual character in the past. I mean, in Spirit Tracks, that's literally in the name. She is the spirit.
Well, okay, I get what you're saying, but I meant more like the goddesses or something.
Yeah, it's very interesting because there's a lot of stuff where people are trying to place it in its timeline to figure a lot of that out. Because in Skyward Sword, Zelda basically is a direct descendant of the goddesses, and so that would hold very true there. However, the prevalent theory that we kind of believe is that this takes place after Wind Waker and is in that same timeline.
Well, we came up with two possibilities. We did talk about being after Wind Waker. Maybe this is a new land, or this is
Based on how many
Hyrule
times
when
they
the
said
water-
Hyrule, I'd say it's most likely Hyrule without being flooded.
Yeah.
We were also tossing around maybe this is before it gets flooded.
Yeah, that's the one I'm kind of leaning towards. Some of the characters, like the old stranger, looked eerily similar to the King of Hyrule.
The old man they showed did look a lot like the King of Hyrule.
And I know there were some little detail differences, but I thought it looked like him, which would place it prior to Wind Waker.
I definitely see what you're going with there. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing is we're just gonna have to wait and find out, and we probably won't even know until the game's already out and been beaten.
Yeah.
I didn't watch really any of the Zelda coverage.
Really? It was really cool.
I was too busy, working. No, it's just it's
Kind of
summertime. My job is that we're fucking slammed to shit. I tried to catch as much as I could. I saw little bits and pieces here and there. The combat, he didn't have a sword.
Yeah, that was.
He
Something
had
that
a
was
big ass club. What
Well,
the fuck? Somebody explain this to me.
Well, he's actually started off with a stick.
He did
He
start
just
with a
found a
stick.
broken limb, and that was his weapon, which is another interesting thing with the inventory.
It's very much a lot of your stuff is temporary. It looks upgradable. There was a lot of stuff I saw where there's a whole potion mechanic that they showed a little bit later. I think you'd actually already left at that point.
Yeah, I didn't see any potion thing.
I did see him eventually pick up a rusty sword.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
he found that.
gear seems very interesting, how you acquire it, and if there'll be important pieces that don't break. They started to show a little bit of the upgradable stuff in Skyward Sword. That was a feature in there where you could upgrade equipment. So this looks like it might be the next evolution of that.
To be fair, they've always kind of done upgradable equipment. I'm going to go back a little bit farther. These are the two that I've really played the most of. Oracle of Ages and Seasons. You always got, like, let's say you got the Rock's Feather that enabled you to jump. And in one of the games, you got the Rock Cape that enabled you to fly.
Right, but that was usually a later item in a dungeon. What I mean is
No,
there
this
was
was
actually
like an upgradable thing that you had to do a separate little side quest for.
but wasn't it part of the main story?
Not really.
Maybe. I know what I was referring to is in Skyward Sword, you can actually go out and find like little items, little resources, and then you go to a person and you pay him a certain amount of rupees and give him the items, and then he upgrades whatever item you tell him to. So it's more like the traditional gear upgrades than the go complete a quest to get version 2.
Oh, okay.
But it was some interesting stuff. There was a lot of stuff that was very new to the franchise. So it'll depend on how they manage the classical tropes. I know we did get to see, at least in the trailer, what looked like him going into a dungeon. And of course, dungeons, you cannot have Zelda without that.
Right, and it looked like he activated the dungeon with some kind of rune or something.
Yeah,
Well,
I did see that.
That's weird. They start off the game by giving you what looks basically like a Hyrule iPhone.
They even said, one of the commenters even said that they're straying a little bit from magic and going more towards technology this time around.
It definitely looked a lot like that, which for fans of Zelda, there's a lot of stuff where like the ancient Hyrule race did have very technological stuff. I mean, in Skyward Sword, you go to the past and you see robots going around.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible that that's kind of resurfacing. The big bosses that they showed in the original trailer are called Guardians, and those are kind of very similar to those ancient robots.
Right. Did you say something, Steve?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I enjoy Legend of Zelda games. The problem with me is that I have to play it with a walkthrough because I have to get everything as I go.
Well,
That's-
that'll really suck with this time around.
That's
with how
actually something
massive
that
it
worries
is.
me.
Yeah.
Some other stuff I saw later was potions that like increase the number of hearts you have. and give you like 4 or 5 extra hearts for fighting, I'm worried about whether or not you'll have like the classic collectibles. If you're not out finding heart pieces, that hurts.
I got to imagine they're doing heart pieces. Maybe those potions are at a temporary increase or something like that.
It did look temporary. I mean, the hearts were yellow instead of red, which denotes that. We've kind of glossed over it. One of the biggest changes that I think is you have a jump now.
Yes, I heard about this.
You have a dedicated jump button now. And to add to that, they have a climb mechanic now. You can climb almost, it looks like any vertical surface. They climb
Pretty much. I don't even think it has to be vertical. It's they showed some stuff where basically if you're at an angle, then your stamina just depletes faster.
Oh, okay.
So it's all based on you basically have that stamina meter returning from Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And now it has a much bigger feature. So it's pretty interesting to see that stuff added in. They showed a few bits where there's now open world bosses. Or I should say above world bosses. Instead of just the final dungeon, there's now enemies that you can encounter that are very strong foes that you have to use boss fight mechanics to defeat. For instance, the big one they showed is this giant rock monster that puts itself together.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, in the trailer, right?
Right, and in some of the stuff that I was seeing afterwards, people were talking about the fact that, at least in the demo, because your character doesn't have stronger weapons and stuff at that point, it basically one-shot you. So the only way to take this thing down was to kind of Shadow of the Colossus, shimmy up it, and just outsmart it.
I'm seeing a lot of Shadow of the Colossus in this new game.
It's really interesting. I know there was one thing which, at the first time looking at it, I didn't recognize it, but there's a small clip where you see up on the cliff, on a cliff top, this big thing moving in the distance, and I almost think that might be a giant Stalfos, which has been an enemy in a past Zelda game, but you've never gotten to see it outside of a dungeon fight.
Huh.
So I would love to see Zelda Shadow of the Colossus mix up.
That's really what it looks like. Here you've got the huge open areas to run around in, large monsters, the climbing mechanic there. They've definitely taken at least 1 or 2 hints from Shadow of the Colossus, and
Yes.
I love that. I think that's the mechanics in Shadow of the Colossus are so interesting. I've been wanting some other games to incorporate it somehow.
Right, and it is very, I will say, the art blew me away. That's one of the main reasons I think that it's in the Wind Waker vein is because it reminds me so heavily of Wind Waker's style.
Well, it's more of a pastel look this time around.
True, but part of why I say that is because the character models, while not as cartoony as Wind Waker, certain ones do follow the Wind Waker style. Most specifically, there is a moment, and they said nothing about it during the gameplay trailer, and I've not seen a lot of people mention it, and I wonder why. He jumps into a pond, and this little green guy comes up, and it's flat out a Kokiri from Wind Waker. The exact same model. In fact, I pulled up a picture. I think it's one of the ones from Wind Waker.
No, I mean it's definitely been redone.
I mean, it's a new looking model, but it's about the same shape, size, and it even has the same leaf mask.
It'll be a Kokiri though. I mean,
oh, it's undoubtedly a Kokiri, so I'm glad to see that they are bringing back those other races. We didn't see any Zora or Gorons, which are staples of the series. I don't know how you can have the game without including those.
yeah, but actually the Kokiri is just another nail in the coffin towards our theories timeline wise.
All things seem to point to that. We'll have to wait to find out. I do know some other gameplay stuff that they showed.
Yeah, let's break some of that down real quick.
There was some really, really interesting ones that they kind of glossed over in their Treehouse, and I wish they hadn't because hearing about them and figuring them out is some of the coolest parts. There's now Stealth Zelda.
Yeah, they hinted that in the trailer. You could sneak up to a horse to try and tame it.
Right, but it goes even beyond just a simple here's sneak mode. There's actually a noise meter that tells you how loud you're being.
Yeah,
and enemies respond to the level of noise.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's permanent. It's not like it pops up just anytime you're in tall grass. It's a constant feature. Right. I got to imagine that's going to be incorporated in some interesting puzzles.
Oh, I'm sure, but I mean, I'll be honest, that's pretty impressive because even a lot of stealth games don't go to that level of noise detection.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see that added in. Another thing which I barely saw any coverage of, I only saw it mentioned by a few of the media outlets afterwards, is the fact that there's a thermometer above that. Temperature comes into play. If you're in too hot of an area, you burn and take damage. If you're in too cold of an area, your stamina runs out and you freeze.
And that's, I guess, where the expanded armor and clothing selection comes from. You can.
I'm so happy to see that. I mean, it's weird seeing it in a Zelda game, but that was in Skyrim. I sought out mods that did that because it was just such a cool mechanic.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I wonder how that's really going to take into effect. I mean, what if you are stuck with lesser equipment, but it keeps you warmer?
Right.
Because of that?
That'd be interesting. I know that they mentioned with the potions, you can brew potions to fight off the cold and the heat.
Okay.
There's a whole crafting system now that's completely robust. It kind of looks like almost a Minecraftian or.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but I mean, you can. They
gets
showed them
pretty
chopping down trees, collecting
deep.
wood.
Yeah, I mean,
cooking food.
Oh, that's another thing. You can cut down any tree in the game. Just chop it down. And they even showed in the trailer where it looks like you can do that to solve puzzles. Certain parts of the environment are interactable and destructible. They show at one point like he looses a giant boulder and just rolls it down a cliffside into a bunch of enemies to kill them.
Yeah, and like fire pits and campfires can light wooden weapons on fire.
Oh,
and then use them as an actual weapon.
Right, and I did look up later and find out. So there is actually spreadable fire. So fire will spread where it can.
Really? Because it didn't look like it.
It didn't in the gameplay demo, but they actually showed in that big trailer they showed it first. I was rewatching it, and there's a part where he does light a patch of grass on fire, and then the rest of the grass starts to catch fire and it spreads out.
Okay, that's interesting. I wonder how deep that mechanic, or if maybe it just spreads a certain distance and that's it.
Whether it's simple or not, I mean, they've already shown just an insane amount for something they've been pretty much haven't shown anything about until now.
Well, it's definitely not going to be coming out anytime soon.
It won't be coming out soon. However, it will be coming out on the Wii U. We didn't see anything about the NX version. We know it'll be coming out on the NX as well because they've confirmed that, but
we just don't know when.
I gotta say, that was a damn beautiful game.
That was gorgeous on the Wii U, so I'd be really curious to see what it looks like on NX.
Once we find out what NX is.
True.
But we know
we still don't even know. One little last thing that I wanted to throw in, just because this wasn't covered in their conference, and I really don't know why, because it's one of the coolest features of it. They talked about what the Wolf Link amiibo will do later. And it's actually really cool. So for the Wolf Link amiibo, what it does in Twilight Princess is it opens up a dungeon called the Cave of Shadows, and as you play through, it'll store the number of hearts you have left when you complete it to kind of brag to your friends and say, I beat it only losing one heart. That carries over into this game because when you place the amiibo onto the gamepad, it loads in a wolf companion. Don't know if it's a Twilight Wolf or not, but it loads in a wolf companion with health equal to the health that you had when you finished the Cave of Shadows. And that wolf will stay with you as long as it has health and help you hunt, fight, solve puzzles, and do anything that you need to do in the game.
That's kind of cool.
That's really interesting, tying the games together like that.
That was actually going to be one of my questions was, do you think this new Legend of Zelda title is going to do amiibo support?
They did announce there's going to be 3 amiibos that come with it.
Really?
I don't know what those 3 amiibos are supposed to do.
Or who they are?
I imagine it'd be at least Link.
Zelda.
One is Link with the bow. I don't remember what the second one is, and the third one is a big amiibo. That's one of those Guardians, and supposedly the big deal with that is it's posable. Like the limbs can be moved.
So kind of like the Yoshi that they did.
Okay. I don't know anything about the amiibos, so
yeah, they mentioned I think to people on the floor, and that was kind of some of the stuff that was spreading. I didn't see it in the treehouse.
Yeah, no, they definitely didn't show that in the treehouse.
So, but yeah, I want to see some more amiibos in the treehouse tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm curious. You know, we got the big Zelda. They're probably going to show a little bit more of Zelda after this, and then I wonder what. I mean, what else are they going to show? We know they've got that shitty Metroid thing.
Yeah, there's the Metroid Federation Force, which
I want to see a new Mario. Like,
we're
I
not
would
going
love
to
to
see
see a new
Mario.
Mario. They showed a little bit of stuff before the Treehouse. IGN did about the Paper Mario they're working on. I'd like to see some more on it, but after Sticker Star, I wasn't a big fan of the direction Sticker Star took the series in. I can't talk all of a sudden.
I want to see something on the same revolutionary lines as Sunshine and Galaxy. Something creative and new like those.
We're not going to see that.
Those take a long time to make, though. But there's a reason why they're so good when they come out.
We'll see it when they are ready to reveal the NX. That's probably the first thing they'll show is the brand new
Mario.
Mario.
I would
game.
love to see, honestly, if they just mentioned a re-release of Sunshine, I would love to see that.
Something we might get tomorrow. Mario and Sonic at the Summer Olympics. We've got the new Summer Olympic. We've got the Rio Olympics coming up this
We
summer.
always need more Sonic.
Ubisoft owns that, don't they?
Do they?
I thought Ubisoft was publishing that.
Let me look that up real quick.
I
mean,
know.
since I don't remember how far back, but they've done a Sonic and Mario every time there was an Olympics.
Oh yeah, I know they have.
That's true. Well,
So,
they might mention that.
They might say and show off something because this one's in Rio, and
But you're really excited for that?
Yeah. Do we really care though?
They're not good games.
I want something more than just Zelda.
Well, they are.
I'm going to be excited for anything but Zelda.
Even if you're not gonna play it.
Yes.
Well, okay.
I'm excited for Mario Sports, but I don't play it. It looks fun.
Then why don't you play it?
Who am I going to play with?
You can play by yourself. What about your friends? You have those, right?
You guys are sitting in the room with me. Dick.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what we're gonna see tomorrow.
We'll probably put out a second continuation. Once again, I wish we could get video for some of this because I really want to show off just how cool some of the stuff looked. One thing real quick, and then we'll go to you, Steve.
Okay.
I really wish that we could just include the map from Zelda. That was huge.
That was massive.
And I don't mean huge as in like a huge deal. I mean huge as in the map was physically large.
Yeah, that looked like something on the scale of a Elder Scrolls game almost. It was massive.
It could almost put an Elder Scrolls game. It could kind of almost outpace an Elder Scrolls game from the look of it, at least in size. I don't know about density, but at least in size.
At least in physical size. What's up, Steve?
Rio 2016. Developers are Sega and Sega Sports R&D. Publishers are Nintendo and Sega.
Oh, okay.
So
I don't know why I thought Ubisoft had a
Sonic
hand in
is
that.
a Sega character, so
Yeah, I don't know why Ubisoft. I thought Ubisoft had that, but
as far as a
You mean
release date,
Ubisoft?
I don't see anything.
what did I say?
Ubi.
So what? They call themselves Ubi.
They're Ubi.
But
Ubi.
as far as a release date, I don't see anything. However, the ones for Beijing, which was the first one in 2007, well, no, it should hypothetically be out by now. Because it came out November 6, 2007, before the 2008 Olympics.
I don't know. I
don't know.
That's a series I know is not good. So I just have no interest in.
I want to see what else Sony has to show, or I'm sorry,
Nintendo.
Nintendo. I want to see what more they have to offer, what more they're going to show us.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2.
I don't want to see.
They've got to have some sort of surprise, right?
Well, I think they've already announced that they're making Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2.
Well, but what I'm saying is we need some kind of surprise. How are they going to be here, spend all this money on this, and not really show much? They showed Zelda, but where's our surprise?
Well, isn't the story of Nintendo right now that they're here spending all this money and not showing us any surprises? Look at the Wii U. I love Nintendo. I just don't like what they're doing in some senses.
Yeah, Nintendo's not really putting out a whole lot of stuff. They put all this money into Amiibos. They put all of this into everything, but game-wise, they're not really give us any big first-party titles.
Hopefully tomorrow we'll hear about something.
Yeah, well, we'll be sure to check back in.
Yeah, we'll have something tomorrow on that.
Start giving some more floor coverage stuff now that the main conferences are out of the way.
Yeah. And that's it. That's it. Conferences are done.
That's pretty much Nintendo and conferences for that matter.
So, thank you all very much. I know this is kind of a shorter episode, but it's all we got right now.
Right, and once again, I'm sorry for the lack of video. We just really don't want to test Nintendo. So, we'll put the links in the description, and that way y'all can go check out and see just for yourself how beautiful these games are.
Sure.
Yeah, be sure to go check that out. All right, thanks again for watching. I struggled through that.
You okay there, Fred?
I'll be all right. It's been a long couple days.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up so we can get some sleep.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you when we see you.
Oh, yeah, bye.